Champ now.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean? What I just said?
I mean, I'm gonna get a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I went on a Bum of the Month tour.
Bum of the month? I would have been a bum compared to you.
Well, you've been on the tour.
Oh, man.
Watch this. A left-right combination by Rocky draws a beautiful left hook counter by La Starza. Oh, his man down. La Starza has been knocked down, but never out. As he himself puts it, I know how to get up. During this, and ducking under those shots by Marciano. Watch.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Now, as usual, before we get started, let me give a shout out to the JBT community. Excuse me. Excuse me. Miss Caston gave me her cold. We're gonna get to it. Now where were we? Yeah, shout out to the JBT community. It's just boxing talk. We're a group of people who just love to talk boxing. And we're always looking for others to join us. And you don't have to have a podcast. The only requirement is you just have to love to talk boxing. That's all. Miss Cass, hashtag JBT, Mike Mazik, Al Booger. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Box Historian. Today, heavyweights of the Golden Age, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. And you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Historian bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. How's everyone today? Monday afternoon edition of Cass Sports, the Box Historian. We're going to be talking about some of those heavyweights from the golden age of the 1970s, not named Ali, Frazier, Foreman, because, you know, when you think of the 70s, those are the first three names that jump into your mind. But there was a lot of other great heavyweights that fought during that era, and we're going to focus in on some of them today, and some great heavyweight fights from the period. But first, our highlights of boxing history segment is going to be the hardest punching heavyweights. Some of the hardest punching heavyweights of all time. 10 of them. 10 of the hardest punching heavyweights in boxing history. Okay? We're going to look at that. Take us down to 2:30. And we can start talking about these heavyweights. But how's everybody today? It's Monday. The meet and greet was great. Yeah. Very successful thing. Got to meet everybody. Well, really have met everybody already, but in person. Because we talk every day, so yeah. Got to meet everybody in person. Okay? Had a great time. I missed the one last year, but I after attending this one, I ain't missing no more. It was a great time, a lot of fun. Yeah. JBT is full of great people. That's why the organization is so great. It's just a bunch of great people in this organization. Okay, let's talk about 10 of the top, the hardest punching heavyweights of all time. We're going to start out with that's our little history lesson from 2 to 2:30. Then we're going to start talking about these heavyweights from the golden era. Okay. Now, when it comes to the boxing division, there's no denying that most people have their eyes on the heavyweight division, right? Whether it be the huge knockouts or the sheer size of the fighters, the heavyweight division is just pure box office sport. It has always been that way throughout the history of the sport of boxing, with many of the biggest names coming from the heavyweight class. Now, in terms of ranking these heavyweights, there are always debates going on as to who is the best heavyweight of all time, and which fighter from a certain era would beat a fighter from a different era if they were to face each other in their primes. But however, Right now, let's take a look at a list that has ranked the heavyweights by power, rather than simply who is the best. Okay, so we're gonna look at the top 10 10 of the top hardest punches in heavyweight boxing history. Okay, coming in at number 10 is Sonny Liston. Yeah, Sonny Liston. Number 10. Sonny. All right there, Sonny. Sonny Liston. Now, to kick off the list is a fighter who certainly deserves more respect and recognition for his achievements inside the ring than he gets. With a career spanning 17 years, Liston fought in a time with huge superstar names. Most notably, Muhammad Ali was the biggest name. Liston fought in that era, right? With history perhaps not remembering just how feared Liston truly was. He was a terrifying fighter with incredible punching power, with many in the division too scared to fight him during his prime. Some fighters just straight up said they weren't fighting. Okay? Unfortunately, his career ended with losses to Ali, which is why he may not be as highly regarded today. But make no mistake that Sonny Liston was a knockout machine. Yes, he was. Number 9, Lennox Lewis. Hardest punches in heavyweight history. Number 9, Lennox Lewis. Lennox the Lion. Next up is one of Britain's most notable boxers of all time. Lennox Lewis had a huge impact on the sport of boxing during his era of dominance in the 1990s. Now he stands at 6'5" and was a master technician inside the ring, with his straight right hand being absolutely deadly to anyone standing in his way. Perhaps Lewis's most famous example of power came in his knockout of Razor Ruddock in 1992, with that iconic right hand knocking Ruddock down in the first round. Yup, it was a memorable one for Lennox. Number 8, 10 of the hardest punching, the top 10 hardest punching heavyweights of all time. Okay, number 8, the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. Joe Louis. A lot of people might think Joe Louis should have been higher, but hey, we tell you, see what's in front of him. Okay? Now, we now go back to an earlier era of modern. Oh, goodness. Lost my display. Bear with me for a moment, please. But I gotta put this other hand in my pocket. Oh, come on. Here we go. Where were we? Joe Louis, right? The Brown Bomber, number 8. Okay, yeah, we go back a little ways now. Joe Louis. Yeah. We now go back to an earlier era of modern boxing with the Brown Bomber himself, Joe Louis. In a recent list of the most powerful punchers of all time across all divisions, Joe Louis came out on top. Now, the dominance of his era of boxing is unmatched, and his 52 career knockouts highlight just how powerful this guy was. If only we could see Louis in his prime today, see how he would fare against some of the more modern heavyweight greats. Yeah, that would be something. Louis against Wilder and Tyson and Usyk and all of them. Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. What's up, RP? What's happening? Everything's okay. Oh, Al Booker says he would have had Sonny in front of Lennox. Yeah. Yeah, that is a fair point there, Al Booker. Yeah, I had Lennox 9, Sonny 10. Yeah, we could have flip-flopped them. Probably could have had Joe Louis a little higher too, but hey. Vladimir Klitschko is 7. Got some heavy hitters in front of him though. It is Vladimir, number 7. Vladimir Klitschko. Good salute, Ray. Good to see you, RP. Vladimir Klitschko. Now, this list would not be complete without the inclusion of this man. The Ukrainian giant, that is, Vladimir Klitschko, boasts an impressive record of 53 career knockouts, with his right hand being widely accepted as one of the best of the modern era of boxing. His prime years of the mid to late 2000s saw pretty much everyone, in his path left in the dust. With Lennox Lewis himself quoted as saying that Vladimir Klitschko possessed more power than him. And he's in front of you, Lennox. Number 6, Smoking Joe Frazier. Yeah, Joe was a little heavyweight. Probably would have been a cruiserweight nowadays. They didn't have cruiserweight back then. Some people say Joe never fought a fight over 200 pounds. There definitely wasn't between 200 and 210 where he fought more. They might have listed him as more, but nah. Joe was around 200, soaking wet. Okay, but Smoking Joe Frazier makes the list. 10 of the hardest punching heavyweights of all time. A true icon of the sport of boxing, Smoking Joe Frazier may be remembered for losing his first fight against Muhammad Ali. But die-hard boxing fans will remember the emphatic left hook that floored Ali towards the end of their fight. The power behind the fists of Frazier was even more impressive when you consider his height, being just under 6 feet tall, making him undersized as a heavyweight. Add to that his agility, speed, and nimble movement, and you have one of the best all-around fighters the sport has ever seen. And Joe only knew one thing: come forward. That's what made him such a bad matchup for George Foreman, because he just had to go through too much to get inside on George Foreman. That's why they fought 2 fights, 7 rounds total in 2 fights, and Joe went down 8 times in those 2 fights. So yeah, just had too much. That was just a terrible style matchup, Joe Frazier and George Foreman. Yeah, that's why Cus D'Amato told Mike Tyson before he passed away, never fight George Foreman, because the same thing will happen to you. It happened to Joe Frazier. But I think Joe got knocked down 6 times because he kept getting up. Mike wouldn't have got up that many times. Foreman probably would have floored Mike like twice, and that would have been it. Mike wasn't going to keep getting. He didn't have the heart Smoking Joe had. Okay. But Mike is number 5. Speaking of Mike Tyson, number 5. Okay. Was there ever any doubt that Mike Tyson would not make this list? Iron Mike is perhaps the biggest superstar the sport has ever seen, with his fights during his prime becoming literal global events where the whole world stopped to tune in, right? Just to see what he was going to do, how long it was going to take him, Mike was getting him out of there 90 seconds, 2 minutes, A Mike fight, you had to have everything ready when it started, because you could go somewhere and come back and they're in the ring interviewing Mike, and it's still supposed to be the first round. So the whole world tuned in to see what Mike was doing, right? And aside from the character and charisma of Tyson, his punching power was nothing short of petrifying for his opponents, with his performances against gaining attention from casual fans. They usually had no interest in the sport of boxing. 22 first-round knockouts to his name just about sums up the power that Mike possessed. Iron Mike Tyson. 10 of the top 10 hardest punching heavyweights of all time. Coming in at number 4, The Rock and Susie Q. Alberger says, Mike would have stayed down, huh? We've seen Tyson quit before, so yeah, I think so. Yeah, he wouldn't have, like Frazier got knocked down 6 times. I don't think Mike would have got up that many times. Mike would have probably got up a couple times, but He didn't have the heart smoking Joe had. And the referee stopped it because he could have knocked Joe down 50 times. Joe was getting up. So the referee just said, that's it. Referee has seen enough. Because, you know, he just, like I said, just a bad style matchup. Joe had that just come forward style. That's the only thing he knew. And just Foreman had a significant height and reach advantage on him. And it just wasn't no way Joe was going to get close to Foreman with the advantages he had. You know, he was just going to keep going down. 2 fights, 7 rounds. Joe hit the canvas 8 times. You know, that sums it up. But Rocky Marciano at number 4. The Rock. No, The Rock was going to be on here. Mr. 49-0. A man with a perfect record. Rocky Marciano comes in at 4th spot on this list of heavyweight powerhouses. Now, Marciano was a one-punch master and threw every shot like it was his last. Rock went for the home run every time, okay? Now, what makes his achievements even more impressive is that he was incredibly undersized for a heavyweight like Joe. Now, I know Rocky never fought over 200. Matter of fact, Rocky fought in like the 180s, okay? He would have definitely been a cruiserweight. Possibly a light heavyweight, who knows? But he wouldn't have been a heavyweight nowadays. But who knows? Then again, he might have been, who knows? With Rock. You know, Rock wanted all the smoke. But he was incredibly undersized for a heavyweight. So much so that if he was fighting today, he would be considered not just a cruiserweight, but a small cruiserweight. Not just a cruiserweight, a small one. Okay, this man fought at heavyweight. But the era he fought in was like a small era for heavyweight, okay? You didn't have no big 6'6", 280 guys like Tyson Fury and Joshua Wilder. You didn't have none of that then. The Rock fought in a small era, but he was still small, 180. I mean, everybody wasn't that small, but it was a small era of heavyweights. The Rocky is another fighter who many would love to see battle it out against the greats of today, to see just how he would fare. You're Rocky, one of those fighters you got to kill to beat him, okay? Willing to die. And then him and Joe Frazier is so similar to me. Number 3 is Big George. We got a couple more, then we're going to get into the show. It's not 2:30. We still got like 6 minutes. Big George. I didn't know whether to put old Big George or new Big George. But, you know, both of them were champions. The second one is the oldest champion in heavyweight history, 45, right? This man had 2 stints in the boxing world and was a feared punching machine in both of them. Whether it was the young George Foreman that became Olympic champion or the Foreman that returned after a decade away from the sport to reignite his legacy. Both were as deadly as each other, boasting 68 knockouts from 76 victories. Foreman had unnatural amounts of power in his gloves. But the fight with Muhammad Ali still mentioned to this day as the only one that got away for Foreman. Yeah. 68 knockouts, 70, you figure 76 fights. Only 8 people went the distance with him. That's incredible. That is incredible. And that's a knockout rate of 89 I erased it too soon. I think it was 89.9, so that's 90. No, 89.4. 89.4% knockout rate. Right up there at 90%. So that's, you know, average of 9 out of 10 fighters is going up out of there, okay? And finally, we got 2 more, I think. Yeah, number 2, you know, Shavers was going to be up here. Ernie Shavers. Oh, I went the wrong way. Yeah. Ernie could be 1 too, you know, but he made number 2 today. That's Ernie on the right. Punching out Larry. Is that Larry Holmes? I think. Okay. Ernie Shavers. Number 2. Called himself the Black Destroyer. Now, another legend of the ring that loved the knockout victory was Ernie Shavers. In fact, 51 of his 68 knockout victories came within the first 3 rounds, okay? 68 knockouts out of 76 wins, 51 of them in the first 3 rounds, highlighting just how powerful he was. Icons from his era, including Ali, are all quoted to say that Shavers has a harder and more powerful punch than anyone else around. Yeah, everybody that he fought says he was the hardest when they got hit by. Okay, to a man, everybody. He is maybe not remembered as being one of the most skilled fighters of his time, or someone with extraordinary tactical nous, but in terms of power, there are not many better. And this might be controversial, but number one, the Bronx Bomber, Deontay. Yeah, Deontay is number one. Deontay Wilder, number one. Coming in to top this list of icons and legends is a modern-day fighter, still active, with the most insane one-punch power we may ever see in the sport. Yeah, nobody got that one-punch shot like Wilder. The Bronx Bomber, Deontay Wilder, possessed. Well, I don't know if he still possesses it. Now, he hasn't possessed it lately. He hasn't showed it lately. But the Bronx Bomber, Deontay Wilder, possessed a godly amount of power in his fists, and is seen as one of the most feared men to ever set foot in the ring. Now, despite his recent losses at the tail end of his career, Wilder's prime is up there with the very best. Quite unbelievably, Wilder has 40 knockout victories to his name, with 30 of those coming in the first 3 rounds. Add to the power, the speed, and agility in this man's feet, and you have a pure phenom with everything you would want in a heavyweight machine. The fact he is the only active fighter making this list is a further testament to the power and abilities of the Bronx Bomber, Deontay Wilder. Okay, so we're going to get into the show now. We're going to talk about heavyweights today of the golden age, 1970s, what they call the golden age. But we're going to leave Ali, Frazier, and Foreman out because, you know, when you think of the golden age of the 70s, those are the first 3 names that come to mind. So some other big names was around then, and we're going to focus on them. Okay? We're going to do a short, brief profile on their careers, and then we're going to cover some heavyweight fights from back then. Okay? Yeah. Did you enjoy the fight, Al Booger? I thought you was going to be there Friday. We had a great time up there in New York at the meet and greet. Yeah. Great time, man. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I missed the first one, but after attending this one, I'm not missing no more because that was fun. Yeah. Good to finally meet a lot of people in person. Had a great time up there in the Big Apple. That was my second time going to the Big Apple in my life, but guess what? I went for the 3rd time in that trip. With second and third time, what happened was, me and Miss Cass and my daughter stayed overnight in the hotel, right? And then we was like in New Jersey coming back, and Miss Cass left a big old bag of weed in the safe in the hotel. And we had to go. She made us go back and get it. I was like, leave it there. We went all the way back. So I went for my second and third visits to New York this weekend, right? Made 2 visits. Went all the way back and got it. Yeah. Had it in the safe. Okay. But I'm sorry, Miss Cass, put your business out there like that. It's legal here in Maryland. It's legal in New York. I know we passed through some states that it wasn't legal. Okay. Let's go with today's show. Heavyweights of the golden age, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. Okay? That's what we're doing today. And how's everybody? Hope everybody had a great weekend. We started another big week of boxing history. Only had 3 shows last week. I missed Monday, and then Friday we was traveling, so we get back in the groove. Oh, got a good idea from Remo Friday night up there. Gonna be Wednesday. No, might start it Monday. We're gonna do like an all-star team from each decade. The best fighter from each division, from each decade. We're gonna do one every Wednesday, one division. It's like an all-star team. The best fighter from each division for every decade, from like the 1901 to 1910, 1911, 1920, then 21 to 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way up to the present day. The All-Star team. Best fighter from each division during each decade, okay? All right. I can't get my throat cleared right. Okay. Heavyweights of the golden age of the 70s. Not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. Okay, everybody hit the like and subscribe if you're not subscribed. I've been stuck on 888 for like a month. You right now, booger. That's what Miss Cass said. That stuff ain't cheap. I'm going back to get my stuff. I said, leave it there. The next person that get their own might be a smoker. They'll be happy. No, but we went back. So my second and third trip to New York was this weekend. Went twice in one weekend. Now, okay. Those are the three we're not going to talk about today, right there, okay? Heavyweights of the golden age, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman, okay? So let's get into it. I was stalling for 2:30, and it's 2:33. Okay, now, heavyweight boxing in the 1970s was characterized by fierce rivalries, great championship fights, and belts changing hands, right? Now, the decade is thought of as the golden age in the heavyweight division by many boxing historians, experts, and fans alike. Remember, Ali returned from his forced retirement early in the decade in 1970. And Joe Frazier had won the titles that had been stripped from Ali when Ali returned from his exile. Okay, former world champions Jimmy Ellis, Floyd Patterson, and George Foreman, along with Oscar Bonavena, Jerry Quarry, Ernie Shavers, excuse me, Leon Spinks, Ken Norton, Larry Holmes, Ron Stander, Chuck Webner, Jose Roman, Big John Tate, Jimmy Young, Ron Lau, Joe Buckner, and Scott Liddell are just some of the names that made the 70s such a great decade for the division. You know, those last names are some of the ones we're going to be focusing on today, okay? Now, Ali and Frazier's historic trilogy was part of the decade, and no other rivalry in boxing history have come close to topping those three fights before them or after them. None even come close, okay? That trilogy Ali and Frazier had. What's up, Mike Rim? Mike Rim is in the building. What's up, Mike? Good to see you today. Talking about heavyweights from the golden age, Mike. Not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. We talk about all the other big names that made the decade so great in some of the fights, okay? So, where was it? Yeah, that trilogy between Ali and Frazier, no other trilogy has even come close before or since to topping that one. But today's show is going to be about heavyweights who fought in the golden age of the 70s, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. Because anytime heavyweight in the decade of the 70s are mentioned, those three are the first names that come to mind. But there are many other great fighters who fought in the decade. And today, we're going to talk about some of them, okay? Yeah, many great names fought in the 70s. First, how about Dwayne Bobbitt? He won a gold medal at the Panamanian Games in the early 70s. Lost in the Olympics to Teofilo Stevenson. Had it been for Teofilo, Dwayne probably would have got the gold medal. Went on to have a great professional career. Let's talk about it. Never won a title, but if he wasn't in the 70s, nowadays he probably would be undisputed. Just fought in that era. A whole bunch of them. Shavers, Jimmy Young, Ron Law, the big names like them never won titles. No doubt in the other era they would be champions. No doubt about it. But let's talk a little bit about Dwayne Barbick. There's Dwayne on the screen there. Dwayne David Barbick was born August 24th, 1950 in Little Falls, Minnesota. As an amateur, Barbick won the gold medal at the 1971 Pan American Games and also fought at the 1972 Olympics, losing to the eventual gold medalist Teofilo Stevenson of Cuba. Barbick then turned professional in 1973, the year after the Olympics, and retired in 1979 with a record of 48 wins, 4 losses, 42 knockouts. Wayne had some pop, 87.5% knockout rate, okay? He had some pop. All 4 of his professional losses were by knockout, okay? Now, he scored notable wins over future heavyweight champions, Mike Weaver, and contenders, Chuck Webner, Scott Liddell, Randy Newman, and Manuel Ramos. From 1973 to 1977, Barbick compiled a record of 38-0 with 32 knockouts in that stretch. 73 to 77 didn't lose, which made him the number 3 contender in the division before he was defeated by number 1 contender, Ken Norton. And after his boxing career ended, Barbick was diagnosed with dementia pugilistica in 1997. Now, his progressive decline has been noteworthy in recent years. After his diagnosis of dementia pugilistica, Barbick was quoted as saying, "I'm not sure I would have gone into boxing back then if I would have known all the effects of head trauma that I know today. But I still don't regret the experience, intense training, and discipline I learned from the sport." Dwayne Barbick. Just talking about some heavyweights from the golden age, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. Next is Joe Budner. Joe Budner. There's Big Joe. Joe was a big dude. I had a picture of him and Frazier. I couldn't get it right though. Frazier came up to like right under his arm. Where he got his arm right. Yeah, Joe was a big dude, man. Big Joe Butler's next. Now, Joseph Coel Butler was born on March 13th, 1950 in Szorzség, Hungary. And y'all know that ain't what it is. I'm gonna put it in here. Since I butchered it, I want it to be right. This is where Big Joe is from, okay? I said Szorzség. That's not right. Here it is right here. He was born in Hungary. Here it is. That's where Big Joe Bugner is from. Is that Zorag? Zorag, Hungary? I spelled Hungary wrong too. H-U-N-G-R-Y. Not Y. But yeah, the first is right. Well, that's where he's from, okay? And Bugner and his family had fled to the United Kingdom after the Soviet Union invaded Hungary in 1956. Soviet Union always invading somebody, man. Bugner had a brief amateur career, winning 13 of 16 fights. Then he turned professional in 1967 at the age of 17. He lost his debut against Paul Brown by 3rd round TKO, showing a gritty determination that he became known for after his debut. He won his next 18 straight fights, including 13 stoppages. Okay, went on an 18-fight winning streak, including 13 stoppages. Okay, now entering the 70s, Bugner emerged as an outstanding young prospect and was world rated by the end of 1970. Right, He won 9 straight fights in 1970, including wins over well-known boxers like Chuck Webner, Manuel Ramos, Johnny Prescott, Brian London, Eduardo Coletti, Charlie Polite, and George Johnson. Those big wins for Joe, Big Joe. Now, Buckner earned a reputation early in his career as a tough, durable boxer, and he retained that image throughout his professional career. Now, in March 1971, Buckner won a 15-round decision over British boxer Henry Cooper, which many thought Buckner lost, and the fight is regarded as one of the most controversial in British boxing history. Now, the win had Buckner ranked among the world's top 10 heavyweights for the first time in his career. In 1973, 23-year-old Buckner fought Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier back-to-back. Now, he lost 12-round decisions to both, but he fought well in both fights, earning the respect of the media and the public, right? Yeah, he went the distance with both of them back-to-back. And he unsuccessfully challenged Ali for the title in 1975 in a rematch, losing a unanimous decision. Went 15 with Ali that time, went all the way with Ali both times. Buckner retired from boxing in 1976, but made sporadic returns over the next 2 decades. He retired for the last time in 1999 with a final record of 69 wins, 13 losses, 1 draw, 43 knockouts. Speaking of controversy, what y'all think about this weekend, man? The Tank fight. Wow. Now, y'all know I'm Tank 100%, but man, I thought he lost, man. I thought Tank lost it. And plus, man, that knee, isn't that an automatic knockdown when you take a knee? Then your corner can't touch you doing a 3-minute round, man, unless the referee instruct them to, like clean your mouthpiece off or something, or some blood running into your eyes, and the referee stop and tell him to. But he went over and took a knee on his own and had them wipe his face. Isn't that a disqualification? So yeah, man, Tank should have 1 L on his record. And I love Tank. I'm Team Tank 100%, but I love the sport first, and he really should have an L, I think, on his record now, man. They robbed Roach. Now, all these Tanks people talking about robbery, that was a real robbery there, man, in my book. You know, Tank still lost that one. What y'all think about that? I think he did. What's up, Thomas Hill? Thomas Hill in the building. Good to see you, T. Hill. What do you think, T. Hill? I thought the Tanks should have an L on there, man. But I hope other fighters don't make the mistake of thinking they can stand there and trade with it like Roach got away with it. Everybody ain't going to get away with that, you know. Hope they don't make the mistake think that's the recipe to beating Tank, standing there trading with him like Roach did, because I would like to see him running back, but Roach would have to vacate 130 because he got special permission to come up from whatever sanctioning body he was champion of. He got special permission to come up and do that one, so I don't think they're going to do that again. So he would have to vacate to get an immediate rematch. I don't know if he wanted to vacate his title, so I don't know. Crush the Legend. What's up, Crush? I didn't even see Crush come in. Crush the Legend. What's up, Crush? Yeah, there's Crush up there. Salute, Crush. Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Salute with the coffee and donuts. Yeah, I'm 100% Team Tank, but I'm boxing first. And yeah, Tank, I hate to say it, but he should have that L on there, man, because I thought he lost that one. Too much went on, man. Too much went on. Anything other than your feet touch that mat, it's a knockdown. He clearly took a knee. And you can't wipe nobody's face off like that, not unless the referee instruct you to. You got a minute between rounds to do that. So, man, too much went on, man. And yeah, they did. Yeah, Roach, they did him wrong, man. I thought Tank lost that one. I really did. What y'all think, man? Put it in the chat. I thought he did. But let's get back to this. I forgot to talk about that in the beginning. Yeah. But yeah, you know, too much went on. Steve, well, that's why I said these referees need to be investigated, man. How did he not see that man take a knee in his corner, wiping his face off? Something should have been called, man, shouldn't it? He just let him do that and said nothing. He started arguing with him. Lamont should have got 2 points, and that was the fight right there. Okay, where were we? Chuck Webner, Joe Butner. Okay, yeah. Number 3, we talking about heavyweights not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. Number 3 is Jimmy Ellis. Number 3 is Jimmy Ellis. There's Jimmy. There's Jimmy on the right. Okay. James Albert Ellis was born February 24th, 1940 in Louisville, Kentucky. He's the one from the same place as Ali. Ellis was a world champion in 1968, defeating Jerry Corey for the WBA title. That was in that tournament that they had when Ali was stripped. Yeah, Corey got Ellis got the WBA out of that. Frazier boycotted it in support of Ali. Yeah, Frazier said Ali had the right to believe in what he wanted to believe in, and Frazier wouldn't fight in the tournament. Frazier got the titles after the tournament. He took them from somebody. Now, Ellis made one successful defense against Floyd Patterson before losing to Joe Frazier, in 1970. Let me just follow the script. Yeah, Ellis lost to Joe Frazier in 1970. Made one title defense. Now, Ellis got into boxing as a teenager after watching a friend box a fellow Louisville youngster named Muhammad Ali, then known as Cassius Clay, on a local amateur boxing television program called Tomorrow's Champions. Was he Tomorrow's Champion? Ellis won 59 of 66 amateur fights. He had 2 amateur fights against Ali, or Clay, which they split. Each of them won 1. Now, Ellis turned professional as a middleweight in 1961. Now, at the end of 1964, after losing 3 out of 4 fights, Ellis changed trainers, hiring the legendary trainer Angelo Dundee. And then he won 6 of his next 8 fights with Dundee were on Ali undercards. Okay. By the mid-1960s, Ellis had moved to heavyweight, right? He fought Ali on June 26, 1971. Now, Dundee, who trained both fighters, I talked about this before, Dundee chose to be in Ellis's corner because he was Ali's trainer, but he was Ellis's trainer / manager. And as manager, he got a larger share of the bag, right? So a no-brainer. He gonna be in Ellis's corner, he making more money. Ali got this guy named Harry Wiley to train him, who had worked with Henry Armstrong and Sugar Ray Robinson. But Ali did go back. Harry Wiley just trained Ali for that one fight. He did go. Dundee did come back after the fight because Ali was his bread and butter. Dundee wasn't, letting that go. But yeah, Harry Wiley was the guy that trained Ali for that one fight. He didn't have Dundee. Wiley had worked with Henry Armstrong and Sugar Ray Robinson. Not a bad guy to get, right? Okay. Now, Ali won the fight by a 12th round TKO. It was a little shenanigans in that because they said Ellis was actually winning when they stopped it in the 12th. It was a 12-round fight. Yeah. So, yeah. Ali got a lot of gifts, though. After the loss to Ali, Ellis went on an 8-fight winning streak, but he never regained the heavyweight title. His last fight was on May 6, 1975, when he knocked out club fighter Carl Baker in 1 round. Ellis retired at age 35 after a training injury left him partially blind in his left eye. He finished his professional career with a record of 40 wins, 12 losses, 1 draw, 24 knockouts. Jimmy Ellis. We just talked about some heavyweights that not named from this golden era of the golden age of the 70s, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. Just Do Boxing in the building. What's up, Just Do? Coming up at 4 p.m. We're just talking about some heavyweights just from the golden age, other than Ali, Frazier, and Foreman, because every time you hear 70s, those are the first 3 names, and mainly the only 3 names they talk about. It was a lot of other great fighters fought in that period, and we're going to touch on them today. But salute Just Do Boxing. And Hardcore Boxing News in the building. What's up, Jay Hardcore? Had a great time Friday. I missed the first meet and greet, but after going this way, I ain't missing no more. Got to meet Jay Hardcore. And that Jay Hardcore y'all see up there to hang out in the morning, that's Jay Hardcore. That's Jay Hardcore. The one we see every morning in the hangout, that's him. Yeah, salute Jay Hardcore. Pleasure to meet you, bro. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about heavyweights, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman today. So, Kimmy Ellis was last, right? Yeah. Next is Larry Holmes. You know, all heavyweights that fought that golden age, but we're leaving the big three out. Next is Larry Holmes. There's Larry. Okay. Now, Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes was born on November 3rd, 1949 in Cuthbert, Georgia. Okay. He competed from 1973 to 2002 and was world heavyweight champion from 1978 to 1985 in a 7-year reign. He is often considered to be one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. He grew up in Eastern Pennsylvania, which led to his boxing nickname of the Eastern Assassin. Yeah, the Eastern Assassin. That's the Eastern Assassin. There he is on the screen. Eastern Assassin. That jab was legendary. Now, Holmes' left jab is often rated among the best in heavyweight boxing history. Not just heavyweight history, boxing history, period. That jab Holmes had. In addition to holding the WBC heavyweight title from 1978 to 1983, Holmes held the Ring Magazine and lineal heavyweight titles from 1980 to 1985, and the inaugural IBF heavyweight title from 1983 to 1985. Yeah, he had to drop the others to fight for the IBF when they first came in. The IBF came, that's why they got recognized right away, because the IBF came in and made names, their champions. But the WBO came in and had lower level fighters fight for their belts, and others we didn't recognize them right away. But the IBF came in and recognized the WBA and WBC champions. So the WBA and WBC accepted them right away. But the WBO had to wait almost like 17 years to get to the main table. He came in 88 and didn't get recognized until like 2005 or something. When B-Hop became the first 4-belt, remember? Yeah, it was a long time. Okay, and Holmes began boxing at age 18, compiling an amateur record of 19 wins, 3 losses. Holmes turned professional on March 21st, 1973, winning a 4-round decision against Rodell Dupree. Now, early in his career, Holmes worked as a sparring partner for Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Ernie Shavers, and Jimmy Young. He was paid well, and he learned a lot from those fighters. Holmes won his first 48 fights of his career. Now, he fell one short of matching Rocky Marciano's career record of 49-0 when he lost to Michael Spinks in the 1985 upset robbery. Yeah, Holmes won that one. Then he fought Spinks. I thought Holmes won both of them, but the judges gave him both to Spinks. So, you know, that's who counts, right? But Holmes came one short of Rocky, 48-0. Holmes' title fight against Ken Norton in 1978 is considered to be one of the greatest heavyweight title fights of all time, which began Holmes' 7-year title reign when he beat Norton. Holmes retired after losing the rematch to Spinks in 1986, but he made repeated comebacks that included losses to Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Holmes, at age 52, fought for the last time in 2002, winning a 10-round unanimous decision against 334-pound Eric Butterbean Esch. Yeah, he fought Butterbean, right? Last fight. He ended his professional career with a record of 69 wins, 6 losses, 44 knockouts. And all 6 of Holmes' losses came in title fights. And Holmes was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame on his first ballot in 2008. Larry Holmes, the Eastern Assassin, one of the greatest one of the all-time greats. Okay. We're talking about heavyweights from the golden age of the 70s, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. You weren't supposed to hear their names, but I've said them about 100 times. My bad. But you know, you ain't gonna hear no kind of profile or nothing on them today, though. because there were some other great fighters back then. But every time you mention the 70s, you know, those three names come up first. Ali, Frazier, Foreman. But there was a lot of great fighters back then, and we covered them today. And the next one is, where were we? Larry Holmes. The next one is Ron Lau. How about Ron Lau? There's Ron on the left. Yeah, that's Ron. Ron Lau. The real Hattie, Kensaw Love One in the building. What's up? The real Hattie and Kensaw Love One has joined us. The family thing. How are y'all today? Good to see you. It's Monday. I only had 3 shows last week because I missed Monday and then Friday. We was traveling, so. But yeah, we're going to get 5 in this week. Got a great idea from Remo for Wednesdays. It's going to be a series. It's going to be every decade, like an all-star team. We're going to have the best boxer from each weight division in each decade, starting from 1900 all the way up to 2025. Yeah, we're going to do these 5 years that we've had in this decade. The best fighter from each weight division in each decade starts next. We're going to do it on Mondays, so I can work on it over the weekend, because that's a lot of work. That's going to be on Monday. Start next Monday. Okay. Ron Law. But salute Kensaw Love One and Jarrell Hattie in the building. Man, I still ain't got my throat cut. In my opener, I just broke out coughing. Mike Magic and Al Booker, remember? Mm-hmm. Okay. Ron Law. Ronald David Law was born February 12, 1941 in Dayton, Ohio. He competed from 1971 to 1980, and he came back in 1995. He challenged unsuccessfully for the World Heavyweight Championship, losing to Muhammad Ali in 1975, right? Never won a title because he fought in that era. Nowadays, he would definitely be a champion. But Law was known for his punching power, crowd-pleasing fighting style, and his courage and determination in the ring. Law defeated Buster Mathis, Oscar Bonavena, Jimmy Ellis, Vicente Rondon, Ernie Shavers, Joe Bugner, Gregorio Peralta, and Scott Liddell, all big names from the 70s. But he's best known for his fight against George Foreman in 1976, which was voted Fight of the Year by the Ring magazine. There were some knockdowns in there. He put Big George down a couple times. When Law was 19, he was involved in the shooting death of a rival gang member and was sentenced to 15 to 25 years in prison. He nearly died in prison after being stabbed by another inmate. Afterward, in solitary confinement, he began doing push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and other exercises, and he trained regularly from then on. He attended a prison boxing event in 1962 as a spectator and decided he could compete in the sport and began boxing in prison. Law was released from prison in 1969 and continued boxing, winning 47 of 52 fights as an amateur. Then Law turned professional at the age of 30 in 1971, got a late start, remember, in prison. Turned pro at 30 in 1971, winning his first 19 fights, 17 by knockout. Not bad for a guy that started at 30 years old. Wow. Law retired in 1980 and made several comebacks. They all do. Retiring for good in 1995 at the age of 54. Come on, Ron, 54. He's damn near old as me. Still in there fighting. He finished his career with a record of 43 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, 31 knockouts. After he turned pro, Law visited his fellow inmates in prison the day before or after each and every professional fight he had. Yep. He went back and visited the fellows the day before the fight or the day after the fight. Should have took a fight in there, but they probably wouldn't have allowed that too much, Too many outsiders coming in there. Yeah. I should have known better than that. They ain't allowed nothing that. But Ali came over there where I used to work at one time, and he had a couple other fighters with him, and he came through and did some sparring and stuff. Yeah, I forgot he brought a couple other fighters with him. They sparred and everything, and even some of the guys that was in the place was boxing, and some of them sparred some of Ali's people. Yeah, That was I can't remember when that was. Probably the late 90s, yeah. But he came over there, Muhammad. But let's continue. Ken Norton is next. Kenny Norton. There's Ken. Come on, Ken. There's Ken. Okay, anyway. Ken Saw Love One just hit me with another super chat. What's up, Ken? Appreciate you, Ken Saw Love One. 1000%. Jay says, man, I had so much fun at the meet and greet. Yeah, that's why our organization is so great, Jay, because of the people, man. They're great people. And, you always say that algorithm bring like-minded people together. That is so true, man. That is so true. People that don't even know, never met each other, just come together and get along so good, like we've known each other our whole lives, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. I was telling Miss Cass about that on the way back. Like I'd never met none of these people before. It's like I've been knowing y'all for like 20 years, man. That's really crazy. But Jay, I missed the first one. I ain't missing no more for sure. I had a great time. Okay. Ken Norton is next. There's Kenny. Okay, we just talking about some heavyweights that fought during the golden age, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman. And it's 3 o'clock. I'm getting ready to play the commercial. That's over with. I was getting ready to reach and hit the button for the commercial, but it's not in here today. That's over. Ken Norton. Okay. But on to the next. Now, Kenneth Howard Norton, Jr., Senior. Junior was the football player for the Cowboys, remember? Linebacker. Was a bad boy, too. Junior was. Kenneth Howard Norton, Sr. was born August 9th, 1943 in Jacksonville, Illinois. He is considered by many to be one of the 20 greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. I might have had him a little bit higher than that. Norton turned professional in 1967 and competed from 1967 to 1981. He was awarded the WBC Heavyweight Championship in 1978 after winning a close split decision over Jimmy Young in a title eliminator fight because Leon Spinks, the WBC stripped Spinks because they wanted Spinks to fight Norton, who had won the title eliminator, but Spinks gave Ali the rematch. So they stripped him and gave Norton the WBC. I guess he would probably make a whole lot more money fighting Ali again, and you had just beat him as a novice, so yeah, that was a no-brainer. Leon wasn't as dumb as everybody said he was. I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, no-brainer. You beat Ali and gonna give him a rematch, you're gonna make way more than fighting Norton. So yeah, Leon said, forget that belt, I'm going after the money. That's how Ken got the WBC, right? Now he is best known for his fights with Ali, in which Norton won the first fight by split decision, lost the second by split decision, and lost the third and final fight by a controversial unanimous decision. I thought Norton won all of them because they had they had a whole bunch, I forgot the number, a whole bunch of newspaper sports guys that scored in the fight, and all 3 judges gave it to Ali, but all of the news people gave it to Norton. And it was way more than them. Now, Norton also fought a slugfest with Larry Holmes in 1978 during the first defense of his championship, narrowly losing a split decision in his WBC title. Yeah, he only had it one fight. Norton took up boxing in the Marine Corps, compiling a 24-2 record in the Corps on the way to 3 all-Marine heavyweight titles. In time, he became the best boxer to ever fight for the Corps. And I was in the Air Force, and me and Ken Norton did the same job. He was way before me, but we did the exact same job in there. Copy in foreign communications. Yeah. Norton retired from boxing in 1981 with a career record of 42 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, 33 knockouts. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1992. Yeah, I read that somewhere what he did in the Marine. I said, that's what I did in the Air Force. Okay. Next is Jerry Quarry. one of the Corey brothers. It was 3 of them. But I think the other 2 fought at other weight division. Yeah. The father box. No, I think it was the 2 other brothers in the father box too. 3 brothers and the father box. Yep. Jerry Corey was born on May 15th, 1945 in Bakersfield, California. He was nicknamed Irish or the Bellflower Bomber. Corey's family included 3 others who were professional fighters, his father and 2 brothers. Jerry's father put gloves on him when he was 5 years old. He won the 1965 National Golden Gloves Championship in Kansas City, Missouri at age 19. Corey had over 200 amateur fights. He turned professional in 1965. During the peak of his career, from 1968 to 1971, Corey was rated by the Ring magazine as the most popular fighter in the sport. But that didn't get him no championship, being popular. Jerry would have rather had that belt, like Ring magazine. You can keep your popular title. Now, his most famous fights were against Muhammad Ali. He is often seen as being one of the best heavyweight boxers to never be a champion. Yep. He beat heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson, but it was a non-title fight. And top contenders Ron Lau, Ernie Shavers, Brian London, Thad Spencer, Buster Mathis, Randy Newman, Jack Bodell, Mac Foster, and Eduardo Corletti. Corey accumulated damage from his lack of attention to defense against bigger men at the top level, okay? No headgear sparring and attempted comebacks in 1977, 1983, and 1992 resulted in Corey developing an unusually severe case of dementia pugilistica. The same thing Dwayne Barbic had, remember? Corey retired several times, hanging up the gloves for good in 1992. He finished his career with a record of 53 wins, 9 losses, 4 draws, and 32 knockouts for Jerry. Okay? Appreciate you, though, Kids All Love 1. Okay, we got a couple more. Ernie Shavers. That's Ernie and Ali there. Guess that's the lead up to their fight. Yeah. I think Ernie put Ali on the mat, but he couldn't beat him. He didn't beat him. It was for the title. Yeah, Ernie's another one that never won a title. No doubt in another era would have definitely been a champion. Yeah, but he never won a title. Ernie. Mm-hmm. Just like Jimmy Young and Dwayne Barbic, Jerry Corey. Mm-hmm. Gentleman Jerry Cooney, none of those guys had titles. They fought in that wrong era, you know. Ernie Shavers. Ernie D. Shaver. Well, he didn't have the S on there when he was born. He was born August 31st, 1944 in Garland, Alabama. Better known as Ernie Shavers. He added the S later in his life. He was an American professional boxer who competed between 1969 and 1995. Wow, 26 years. A 2-time world heavyweight challenger for championships. He is known as one of the hardest punchers in heavyweight boxing history. He was number 2 on my list. I did a list of the hardest punchers for the history lesson today, 2 to 230, and Ernie was number 2. Deontay Wilder was number 1. Melanin Queen 27 in the building. What's up, Melanin? How are you today? Very successful meet and greet. Appreciate all your hard work you did toward it, Melanin Queen. That definitely made a big difference in it. Appreciate you 1,000%. No, 1,000,000%. Salute to Melanin Queen 27. Okay. Now, yeah, where were we? Ernie Shavers? Yeah, Ernie was number 2 on my list of the hardest punches in heavyweight history, right? He is known as one of the hardest punchers in boxing history. Shavers scored 70 knockout wins, including 23 in the first round, for a 92.1% overall knockout rate. This man had 70, I forgot how many fights, but 90-something% knockout rate with all those fights. That's incredible. Chambers started boxing at the age of 22. Before turning professional, he had a short but notable amateur career, winning the 1969 National AAU heavyweight title, Amateur Athletic Union. That's big then. Around that time it wasn't. Compiling an amateur record of 20 wins and 6 losses. Chambers turned professional in 1969, known as the Black Destroyer. He won 44 of his first 47 fights by knockout, okay? This included 27 consecutive knockouts, with 20 coming in the first round. Damn, 20 in the first round. Chambers twice challenged unsuccessfully for the heavyweight championship, losing to Muhammad Ali in 1977 and to Larry Holmes in 1979. Yeah, that was a barn burner with Holmes. He hurt Ali in the second round, and he knocked Holmes down in the 7th round, but still came up short. Chambers defeated former world champions Vicente Rondon. Yeah, they didn't have a belt when they beat him, though. So Vicente Rondon, as Jimmy Ellis, and Ken Norton, as well as 3-time European heavyweight champion Joe Buckner, and top heavyweight contender Jimmy Young. He beat some big names, but just wasn't title fights. Chambers retired from boxing in 1983 after retinal problems were discovered. He finished his career with a record of 76 wins, 14 losses, 1 draw, 70 knockouts. Man, that's incredible. 76 fights, only 6 people went the distance with him. That is incredible, man. 70 of them went up out of there. Wow. Tell me that man can't punch. Everybody to a man that fought Ernie said he was the hardest person ever been hit by. Once they fought Ernie, he became the hardest person they was ever hit by. Okay, we got a couple more. Chuck Webner, Big Chuck. The man that Rocky was, that's what Rocky came from, a Chuck Webner-Ali fight. Chuck put Ali on the seat of his, there it is right there. See Ali on the way down. Chuck put Ali on the seat of his pants. Well, the seat of his boxing trunk. He on the way down, see that? In that position, ain't nobody got that kind of athletic ability to stay up in that position. The floor gonna catch you. But Chuck lost the fight, but he did put Ali down. Okay. Chuck Webner was born February 26, 1939 in New York City. He is of German, Ukrainian, and Polish descent. Webner fell just 19 seconds short of a full 15 rounds against world heavyweight champion Muhammad Ali in a 1975 championship fight. Yeah, I remember that. They stopped it with 19 seconds left. 19 seconds left, they stopped it. Now, he also scored wins over Randy Newman and former heavyweight champion Ernest Terrell. He was also the last man to fight former undisputed world heavyweight champion Sonny Liston. Yeah, Sonny. Sonny marked him up too, yeah, Chuck. But Chuck didn't go down. He was the last man to fight Sonny before they found Sonny dead in his apartment, remember? Yep. Now, Webner's boxing career and fight with Ali inspired the 1976 movie Rocky. Webner learned to fight on the streets of Bayonne, New Jersey. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Saying, this was a tough town with the docks and naval base, and you had to fight to survive. At the age of 15, Webner decided he wanted to be a Marine. In the Marines, he became a member of the boxing team, developing a reputation for being able to withstand other boxers' punches and becoming a military champion too. Webner turned professional in 1964 and became a popular boxer on the Northeast club boxing circuit. Yeah, started out as a club boxer. Nicknamed the Bayonne Bleeder due to repeated facial injuries in the ring, they took the name that was initially meant to be an insult and embraced it. In an interview, Webner said, I had 328 stitches during my career. Wow. My nose was broken 9 times in 16 years. And he said, those things never fazed me. 328 stitches. That's a lot of stitches for one person. Wow. Over a 16-year career. Whitney retired from boxing in 1978 with a record of 36 wins, 14 losses, 2 draws, 17 knockouts. And finally, last one, fighters from the 70s, not named Ali, Frazier, or Foreman, is Jimmy Young. Another one that never won a title. Another one that never won a title, but no doubt would have in another era, you know. But they just fought, like I say, in that wrong era with all those big names. And not just Ali, Frazier, and Foreman, all these names we just talked about. So, yeah, that was definitely the greatest era of heavyweights. No question about it. Make these guys nowadays look like a nursery home or something. I mean, nursery home. I mean, where the little children go to. What they call it when you watch the little children. The 70s era make this era look like one of them daycare center. Make this era look like a daycare center. For the little babies. Okay, Chuck. Jimmy Young is last. Jimmy Young was born on November 14th, 1948 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Young began his professional career on October 28th, 1969 with a first-round TKO against Jimmy Jones. Young was known for his awkward defensive style and counterpunching. He was one of the top contenders of the 1970s, most notably earning a victory over George Foreman in 1977, but Foreman didn't have the title, and losing a unanimous decision against Muhammad Ali in 1976. Yeah, I thought Young beat Ali too. Yeah, that would have been his title right there. But Ali got a lot of gifts. He was Ali, okay? Sugar Ray did too, Leonard. Young fought many significant fighters of his era, including twice outpointing Ron Lau and losing only by a split decision to then number one contender, Ken Norton, in a title eliminator in late 1977. Yeah, that's the one that Ken won when the WBC stripped Spinks and gave it to Ken. If Lau would have won that fight, he would have been a champion. And he lost by a split decision. A fellow boxer, Bobby Watts, was his cousin. And Jimmy Young retired in 1990 with a record of 35 wins, 18 losses, 3 draws, 11 knockouts. Okay? Those are some of the great heavyweight fighters that fought in the golden age of the 1970s, other than Ali, Frazier, and Foreman. Just wanted to let y'all know what's some other great names back there. Now let's look at some other great fighters from the 70s. Or should we look at the heavyweight fights? I got 10 great heavyweight fights, and I got some other great fights. Let's look at the other great fighters from the 70s first, from other weight classes. Okay? Got like 7 or 8 of them, like the Hands of Stone, Roberto the Red, Alexis Aguayo, Bob Foster, Jose Napoles. Let's talk about some of them. Because it was not just the golden age of the heavyweights, it was some other bad boys in them 70s. Just what everybody that had a championship in the 70s is in the Hall of Fame. That was just the greatest decade of boxing ever, man. The 70s. Yeah. Let's look at some of these guys in the lower weight classes from the 70s, okay? I can't figure out which one it is. Nope, that's heavyweight. And I want you right now, heavyweight. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I got Alexis Arguello, Carlos Monzon, Roberto Duran. Yeah, some of the guys from the lower weight classes from the 70s. It wasn't just the heavyweights. They had some great fighters back then. Now, the 1970s was the greatest decade in history for heavyweight boxing talent. Remember the big three, Ali, Frazier, Foreman, are all 3 of the greatest fighters of all time, right? The heavyweight contenders from the decade, such as Chuvalo, Lau, Bonavina, I miss Chuvalo, Query, and Ernie Shavers, all might have held the belt in other eras. But the 1970s were a decade marked by dominant champions. Lightweight champion Roberto Duran, super featherweight Alexis Arguello, light heavyweight Bob Foster, welterweight Jose Nopales, super bantamweight Wilfredo Gomez, bantamweight Carlos Durante, and middleweight Carlos Monzon all rank among the all-time elite in their divisions, all Hall of Famers. Okay, let's talk about some of them. First, Bob Foster, light heavyweight. Bob Foster. Now, Bob Foster is one of the top 5 light heavyweights of all time, and possibly the hardest puncher to ever compete at 175, right? His power allowed him to be a legitimate threat as a heavyweight contender, even as he ruled the world at light heavyweight. He went up to heavyweight too, right? Foster captured the undisputed light heavyweight crown in 1968 by defeating the great Dick Tiger and entered the decade of the 1970s as a dominant champion. He retired as reigning champion in 1974 after retaining his title in a draw with Jorge Ahumada. After a break of a year, Foster returned to action. He won 5 straight fights before getting stopped in back-to-back fights in 1978, and then he retired for good. Should have stayed gone, Foster. Prior to losing to Mustafa Wasaja in 1978, the only fight Foster ever lost at 175 pounds was against the Peruvian great Mauro Mina, when Foster was early into his career and still extremely inexperienced. Yeah, he came back out of retirement and lost 2 fights and then retired again where he should have stayed at, right? Well, why did he do that? No, they threw. Jose Nopales. We talked about some other fighters from the 70s, from other weight classes. Jose Nopales. He ranks among the top welterweight champions in history, fought in the 70s. He reigned almost continuously as the undisputed welterweight champion for more than half of the decade. Nopales captured the title from Curtis Coates in 1969 and defeated the legendary Emil Griffith in his first defense. That was old Emil, though, but it was still Emil. Box Rec don't say old Emil Griffith. Box Rec just say Emil Griffith. He was still in there. Got his butt beat. Jose beat him. Now, Jose dropped the belt briefly in December 1970 when he lost to Billy Backus by TKO after receiving a bad cut to his eye. He lost on cuts. However, he won it back 6 months later by stopping Backus in 8 rounds. He went on to reign at 147 until losing to John Stacey in his last fight in 1975. Almost half the decade, right? Then he retired. He lost just once during this 4-year stretch when he challenged the great Carlos Monzon for the middleweight title in 1974. That was a mistake going up the middleweight, messing with King Carlos. That was the only fight he lost during that stretch. Didn't lose any at welterweight. He went up to mess with King Carlos Monzon. He should have known better than that. Carlos Monzon ruled from 70 to 78. I told y'all, Carlos Monzon and Marvin Hagler had a 14 out of 17-year stretch. One of them was the undisputed middleweight champion. There's only 3 years in there where one of them didn't have all the belts, Carlos Monzon and Marvin Hagler. And that's who Jose went up the middleweight messing with. And he hauled ass back down to welterweight. Okay. Carlos Durante, another great champion from the 70s in the lower weight classes. One of the greatest bantamweights of all time and one of the biggest pound-for-pound punchers in history. Carlos Durante had 2 knockout streaks of 20 or more fights during the 1970s. We talked about that, remember? No other fighter in the sport's history is known to have done this. Check this out. Okay, y'all listening? Durante won his first 24 fights by knockout, okay? Then he had won by unanimous decision, okay? Then he won his next 27 by knockout. 51 of his first 52 fights was by knockout. Incredible. If not for that one unanimous decision, that would have been 52 straight knockouts, but 51 out of 52. 24 out the gate, one unanimous decision, then 27 more knockouts. 52-0. Okay? Zarate won his first 52 fights before moving up to super bantamweight to challenge Wilfredo Gomez in 1978. At the time of their meeting, Gomez and Zarate had a combined record of 73 wins, no losses, 1 draw, with, get this, 72 knockouts. Between these two men, that unanimous decision that Zarate had in his 25th fight was the only time anybody went the distance with either one of them. Okay? 73 fights, 72 knockouts between them. Incredible. Now, Zarate dropped his bantamweight title to Lupe Pinto in 1979 by split decision. He would remain, by the way, Gomez beat him too. That was another mistake going up, messing with the bigger fighter. But anyway, Zarate he went back down to bantamweight, dropped his bantamweight title to Lupe Pinto in 1979 by split decision. He would remain active for much of the 1980s, but he would never again win a world title, ending his career with back-to-back losses to Jeff Finnick and Daniel Zaragoza while challenging for super bantamweight belts. Yeah, the Finnick and Zaragoza was two of the young lions coming into the sport. You know, Zarate should have been gone, but they all stayed too long. Then he lost back-to-back to those two young lions and got out where he should have been, had went already. Wilfredo Gomez, this is the other guy I was talking about. Now, his knockout streak is crazy too. This knockout streak he had is crazy too. He was the one for Zarate, and they was combined 72-0, 77-0. But anyway, combined 73-0, 72 knockouts. Only one man that ever went the distance with either one of them, right? But Gomez is next. These are just some other great fighters other than heavyweight during the 1970s. That's a great decade overall, man. Now, during the 1970s, super bantamweight great Wilfredo Gomez forged one of the most impressive knockout streaks in boxing history. Okay, now listen to this. Listen to this. One of the most impressive knockout streaks in boxing history. After fighting to a draw in his first fight in 1974, Gomez knocked out the next 32 opponents he faced, okay? Including Dong Kuyan Young to capture the WBC Super Bantamweight belt. Had a draw in his first debut fight, then knocked out the next 32 people he fought, okay? In 1978, Gomez stopped bantamweight legend Carlos Zarate, that's what we just talked about, in 5 rounds to give him his first career loss. He gave Zarate his first loss. Gomez never lost during the decade. Finally suffered a defeat in 1981 by going up, messing with a bigger man, to featherweight legend Salvador Sanchez. Okay? Yeah. Then he went back down to bantamweight where he should have stayed at. But then it'd be great, nothing wrong with that. Gomez was not the same force of nature during the 1980s, though he did add 2 more world titles to his collection at featherweight and super featherweight because Sanchez was gone then. For his career, he never lost below featherweight. Okay, never lost that bantamweight. And I think he started at junior bantamweight, like 118, yeah. He went all the way from bantamweight to featherweight, but he never lost below 126. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Next is the great legendary Alexis Arguello. I told you, 1970s was something else. And everybody talking about heavyweights. Listen to these lower weight class guys. Alexis Arguello, the explosive thin man. Other names such as Azuma Nelson and Flash Allardyce would deserve a mention, but it's ultimately hard to see how any fighter besides Alexis Arguello could be ranked first all time at super featherweight, okay? Nobody. Super featherweight, 130, Alexis. Nicknamed El Flaco Explosivo, the explosive thin man, Arguello was one of the most dominant and exciting champions of the 1970s. And all these guys in the Hall of Fame. So everybody that touched the belt in the 70s is in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Aguayo captured his first world title at featherweight in 1974, beating the great Ruben Olivares by stoppage. Ruben was getting old then too. In 1978, Aguayo moved up to super featherweight and took the belt from Alfredo Escalera in a bloodbath. He defended the belt by stopping such exciting contenders as the era in the other era as Bobby Chacon, the Skywalker Boxeo's uncle, his mother's brother from the TWT. Aguayo stopped Ruben Castillo and Bazooka Limon, Rafael Bazooka Limon. In the 1980s, Aguayo would go on to win a third title at lightweight. He never lost any of his 3 titles in the ring. He vacated all of them to move up. Never lost any title in the ring. Vacated them to go to the next level. His 1983 round 14 TKO loss to Aaron Pryor was quite possibly the most exciting fight of the entire decade. Yeah, that was a good one. Him and the Hawk. Yeah, that's the black bottle fight. They say the Hawk had something in a black bottle over there. Now, something illegal, why would you put it in a black bottle? That would be kind of obvious. But maybe trying to hide the color of it? I don't know. But that's what they said. But the next fight the Hawk had, didn't he get Emmanuel Stewart after the other guy? And yeah, he won that one legitimately, the next one. Even got Alexis out even quicker in the next one, the second fight. Yeah, without the black bottle. Carlos Monzon. Oh yeah, the great King Carlos Monzon. I was just talking about, ranting and raving about him. King Carlos Monzon. He was kind of crazy though out the ring. I'll tell you about him. Middleweight champion Carlos Monzon is another member of this list who deserves serious consideration as the best all time in his weight class. Man, him and Hagler were there in a handful, but see, they fought at the same time, but Carlos was at the end of his career. Hagler was at the beginning of his, and a fight between them would have meant absolutely nothing. You know, it would have meant absolutely nothing. You had an old guy against a young guy. Whoever won, the loser would have had a built-in excuse. You know, Marzone was too old, Hagler was too young, so a fight between them would have meant absolutely nothing. But Prime versus Prime, I had it a draw. Remember I did that one? I had it a draw. Middleweight champion Carlos Monzon. Okay. There's another member of this list who deserves serious consideration as the best all-time in his weight class. I've read him already. Now, he's right up there with Sugar Ray Robinson and Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Take your pick. Sugar Ray at welterweight, but I don't know about middleweight, man. Sugar Ray is at the top. I might put Hagler and Monzon in front of Sugar Ray at middleweight. Welterweight, Sugar Ray is definitely. That's why he never lost at welterweight. But he was beaten at Sugar Ray was beaten numerous times at middleweight, so I don't know. And then I'm probably a little biased for Hagler too, you know. But anyway, Monzon captured the undisputed middleweight title in 1970 when he stopped the great Nino Benvenuti, the Italian fighter, in 12 rounds. He won a rematch 6 months later by stoppage in 3 rounds. Among the great fighters Monzon defended against during the 1970s were Emil Griffith twice, Benny Briscoe, and Jose Napoli. Monzon retired as champion in 1977 after beating the tough Rodrigo Valdez in back-to-back fights. Now Monzon, after his boxing career, he threw one of his wives off a second-floor balcony and killed her. Then he went to prison. He was a woman beater. He beat all his women. And he went to prison for murder, but was out on furlough and got killed in a car accident on the way back to prison. How the hell you get out of prison on furlough on a murder charge? Not a murder charge, a murder conviction. He had been convicted of murder, out on furlough. Listen, in Argentina, they probably do things different down there. They ain't letting no murder out on no furlough up here because they probably ain't coming back. You know? But yeah. But he was on the way back and had a car accident and died. Mm-hmm. King Carlos Monzon. BN Boxing News in the building. What's up, BN Boxing News? BN Boxing News is a cool guy, man. Yeah. Me and BN would pull up to the bar, chopped it up for a while Friday night, man. BN the kind of guy I can hang out with, man. Yeah. Salute BN Boxing News. Had a great time up there Friday night, man. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we talking about now some of the great fighters from the 70s that wasn't heavyweights. Okay. Next is the Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran. He's the last one. Last but certainly not least. Known by his colorful nickname, Manos de Piedra, or the Hands of Stone. Roberto Duran is probably best known today for his legendary work in the 1980s. You know, in 1980, he handed Sugar Ray Leonard his first loss, right, to get the welterweight title. And, you know, one of those legendary four kings in the 80s. In 83, he went 15 grueling rounds with undisputed middleweight champion, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, at a time when Hagler was considered unstoppable. Duran is the only one that went the distance of Hagler in like 7 years. Remember? And Duran finished the decade off by capturing the WBC middleweight belt from Iran Barkley in 1989's Fight of the Year. But before the 1980s ever began, Duran was already a legend, right? He had already established himself as the greatest lightweight of all time, right? And the only other fighter that have a chance in the conversation is Benny Leonard, back from the 20s, but I would give it to Duran. Duran was a destructive force of nature at 135. He combined relentless aggression, fight-ending power, and brilliant technical ability to run over the entire division. Yeah, he could box too. And had good defense too. But you know, somebody aggressive with their power like that, people overlook their defense and boxing ability. But he was a great boxer, he had great defense too, Roberto Duran. He fought throughout the entire decade and lost just once to the crafty Esteban de Jesus. It was a loss Duran avenged twice by stoppage. He stopped de Jesus twice in 2 rematches. Well, in the rematch and then the trilogy. He stopped him twice. Yeah, there was just some other fighters from the 80s, you know. That was great legendary fighters. You know, not just the heavyweight division from the 80s. That was just a decade of greatness overall. Let's look at some fights. Heavyweight, since we was focused on heavyweight, some of the great heavyweight fights of the decade of the 1980s. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Tomorrow is going to be the junior flyweight division. We're going to talk about a little history of the junior flyweight division, and some of the great former guys at flyweight. We'll look at the top 10 active flyweight rankings and some great fights and other significant events, junior flyweight, that happened in that division. You know, we do all the divisions on Tuesday, if you remember. Thursday, it's going to be Oregon. We're going to look at boxing in like South Africa Wednesday. We've been looking at boxing from different parts of the world the last few Wednesdays. So we're going to look at boxing in Africa Wednesday, okay? And Thursday is Oregon. We did the profile last week, remember, on Thursday, because we didn't have a Cast Sports on Friday. Friday, the profile is the life and career of Floyd Mayweather Jr. Yeah, we never did Floyd. Floyd Mayweather Jr. Friday. Life and career. Okay? Floyd Mayweather Jr. And now, let's look at some fights. Some heavyweight, some great heavyweight fights. If I can find them. Oh, come on, man. Back in the 10 best heavyweight fights. No, I did boxers, man. Get out of here. There we go. 10 of the greatest heavyweight fights in boxing history. I'm always looking at 10 of the something into something. Yeah. Okay. It won't come up. There it is. 10 of the greatest heavyweight fights in boxing history. No pictures. We're winding down. Just do boxing at 4 p.m. today. Okay, how about Rocky Marciano, 13th round knockout over Jersey Joe Walcott, September 23rd, 1952. I know we talked about it before. Let's talk about it again. It was that kind of fight. And Jersey Joe was saying, just take his titles and stuff. If Rocky beats him, just take him out the rankings and everything. That's how much disrespect he gave Rocky, and Rocky beat him. Now, Jersey Joe was winning after 13 rounds on all three cards, but Rocky was one of those fighters where it only takes one to change the whole fight. And in round 13, Suzy Q got through and changed the whole fight. Suzy Q was Rocky's right hand. Now, Jersey Joe Walcott was a brilliant technical fighter, one of the most underrated heavyweights in history. Even as an ancient champion, he remained the supreme matador, right? Now, the unrefined Rocky Marciano, with the shortest reach of any man to ever hold a heavyweight crown, was a lunging, yet ultimately very dangerous young bull. Now, the fight was described as all Walcott, up until Marciano pulled victory from the jaws of defeat in round 13 with one stunning right hand, right? Now, Walcott was well ahead on the cards entering the championship rounds. It had been a bruising back and forth affair, though. Marciano was getting his shots in. The Marciano's relentless pressure and body attack chipped away at Walcott, right? And that was around round 10. You know, Marciano was chipping away at the body, but Walcott was clearly winning the rounds. Now, at that point in the fight, it looked like Marciano might have slowed down Walcott enough to reel him in, especially when he jolted him with a hard shot at the 10th round bell. Then Walcott somehow came out as strong as ever in round 11 and began to once more separate himself from Marciano. Ultimately, of course, round 13, Marciano's one-punch knockout pulled the fight out. Yep, Rocky was that type of person. One punch could turn everything around in a jiffy, okay? And that's what he did to Jersey Joe. Walked away with the title that he never lost, never beaten. Every man he fought in a title fight, he knocked him out. He had the first two with Ezra Charles. The first one, he didn't knock him out, win the decision. And Rocky didn't have to give him a rematch because Rocky was a champion. But he gave him a rematch and knocked him out in the second fight. So he must have gave him the rematch just to knock him out, okay? Yeah, but The Rock. Ike Iwabuchi versus David Tua, 1997. I think Iwabuchi went to jail or something. He talked about coming back to boxing right now. Mm-hmm. Now, David Tua was one of the most exciting heavyweights of the 1990s, which was one of the best another one of the best decades in the history of the heavyweight division. Tua had one of the best chins ever, and he also had a master left hook, right? And he fought as recently as 2013. Tua did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Iwabuchi is one of the sport's great what-ifs. His record was 20-0 with 15 knockouts. When his career ended in 1999, he went to prison for sexual assault. Okay, I think he's out talking about making a comeback. Now, when these two faced off in 1997, it was an eagerly anticipated showdown between two undefeated and rising contenders. Tua had recently knocked out future champion John Ruiz in the first round. And for Iwabuchi, Tua represented a step up, in levels. And the result was the busiest heavyweight fight in the history of CompuBox records, with the two fighters combining for 1,730 punches. And these were mostly power punches. Neither man willing to take a step back. Okay? Yeah. 1,730 punches. And most of them were power punches, right? And Iwabuchi won by a 12-round unanimous decision in that one. Floyd Patterson, 6-round knockout over Ingemar Johansson, March 13th, 1961. I believe that was the third fight. They had 3 fights, all knockouts. Johansson stopped Patterson in the first one, and Patterson stopped Johansson in the last 2. They had a trilogy. Floyd Patterson was a 1952 Olympic gold medalist as a middleweight. As a professional, he was tutored by Cus D'Amato in the same tricky and dangerous peekaboo style that D'Amato would later train Mike Tyson to employ. Now, after Rocky Marciano retired, Patterson knocked out Archie Moore in 1955 to capture the vacant heavyweight title and became the youngest heavyweight champion in history at age 21. Had that till like 85, 88, in the 80s when Mike broke it. I think Mike broke it, was it 85, somewhere around in there. Yeah. Ingemar Johansson was not a technician in Patterson's class, but he was the number 1 contender. He was from Sweden. He did possess a huge white right hand, nicknamed Thor's Hammer. In his first fight with Patterson, he floored Patterson 7 times and won the fight by round 3 TKO. A year later, Patterson evened the score with a round 5 knockout. The stage was set for a rubber match. I think one of those fights, Johansson was out for 5 minutes. It might have been the second one, the knockout one. Now the stage was set for the rubber match though. Each had won 1, and both had been stoppages. Things looked bad for Patterson early in the third fight as Johansson dropped him twice in the very first round, firing heavy right hands over the top of Patterson's jab. Now, after the second knockdown, Patterson got up and went on the attack. He connected and knocked Johansson down at the end of the second round. The next 5 rounds unfolded at a brutal pace, with Patterson hammering away at Johansson's body and sapping the power from his big right hand. In round 6, Patterson put his rival down for the count. 6-round knockout. I know one of them, Johansson was out for 5 minutes. And both Patterson's stoppages were knockouts, countouts. Not no TKO, down for the 10 count. One of those, he was down for 5 minutes. Yeah. He put a vicious body attack on him in that second one. I mean, vicious, man. Whew. We go way back. This is a good one here. Jack Dempsey knocked out Louis Firpo in the second round, right? Second round knockout, but guess what? It had 11 knockdowns in the fight. 11. Dempsey knocked Firpo down 10 times. Firpo knocked Dempsey down once, but Firpo had the best knockdown. Firpo knocked Dempsey clean through the ropes. At the end of the round, the bell saved it, so when they got Dempsey back to his corner on the stool, Dempsey asked his corner, who won? It was like, the fight's still going on, Jack. It's just the first round. Now, this heavyweight title fight between the Manasseh Mauler, Jack Dempsey, and the wild bull of the Pampas, Luis Angel Firpo from Argentina, was almost certainly the most exciting and violent 4 minutes in the history of the sport. In that short period of time, the two combatants combined for an astonishing 11 knockdowns. Fighting before a crowd of 80,000 at the old Polo Grounds in New York City, the action started almost immediately as Firpo dropped the champion to his knee with a right hand early in the first round. Dempsey he must have knocked Dempsey down twice. Okay, my bad. Dempsey then rose and proceeded to batter Firpo, knocking him down 7 times in the first round. Okay? This was prior to the change in rules that requires a fighter to retreat to a neutral corner when his opponent is down. So after each knockdown, Dempsey continued to loom over Firpo, resuming the shellacking as soon as the tough Argentine was again upright. Then, near the end of the first round, Firpo landed another huge punch, knocking Dempsey completely out of the ring. Dempsey just managed to beat the count and save his title. Dempsey stopped Firpo twice dropped Firpo twice more in round 2. The second time for good. Okay. So Dempsey dropped Firpo 9 times, and Firpo dropped Dempsey twice. 11 knockdowns in only 2 rounds. Just 2 rounds. Incredible. Wow. Okay, well, let's do one more, then we're gonna get out of just do boxing's way. This was a good one here. George Foreman, 5th round knockout Ron Lyle, January 24th, 1976. And this was Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year for 1976. Okay? This was George Foreman's return fight after dropping the title to Muhammad Ali. First fight after the Rumble in the Jungle, when Ali put that rope and dope on it. In his own previous fight before this, Ron Lyle had stopped the dangerous Ernest Shaver. So when these two big punches faced off in early 1976, they turned in one of the wildest back and forth slugfests in professional boxing history. Now, Lyle came out to start the fight aggressively and nearly stopped Foreman in the first round. Foreman came back to stagger Lyle in the second round. Now, round 4 was one of the best single rounds in boxing history. Lyle dropped Foreman early in the round. Foreman climbed off the canvas to return the favor, dropping Lyle. But Lyle got up and knocked Foreman down again, second time before the round was over. Now, as round 5 began, the Foreman looked like he was in bad shape when the round ended. It looked like he was going to be able to recover because Lyle got a good one in on it. Man, these commercials. Man, we got enough commercials on TV without them on your phone too. All in the way. Okay, we're gonna finish this. I was getting to the good part, man. Let's stop it. Yeah. Commercial came in right on top of my face. We can't end like that. Let me get back. Damn. Here we go. Hey man, the commercial came and just jumped right on top of my display. What kind of shit is that? Okay, here we go. This is it. Yeah, Foreman, 4th round, Lyle dropped Foreman and the bell saved Foreman. Had it been earlier in the round, Foreman would have been stopped, and it did not look like he was going to make it for back out there for the next one. But Foreman came back. Okay, yeah, here we go. I got it. Round 4 was when, but Lyle got up and knocked Foreman down the second time before the round was over. As round 5 began, Lyle looked to finish off his damaged opponent, and for a moment, it looked like he might be able to do it as he staggered Foreman again early in round 5. But Big George came roaring back, trapping Lyle in the corner and putting him down for good with a barrage of punches. Yeah. If Foreman like Rocky, he got that one punch that can change things in a hurry, and that's what happened. He changed things in a hurry. Okay, Just Do Boxing up next. I appreciate everybody for coming through today. We're going to do it again tomorrow because at 2, we're going to talk about the junior flyweight division. You know, we came all the way from heavyweight. We've been doing different divisions every week for the last 15 weeks. Okay? So, tomorrow's junior flyweight. Join me for that. And this is just the kickoff of this big week of boxing history. Coming right at. Okay? All right. Appreciate everybody coming through today. But join me tomorrow because if it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Just Do Boxing is straight ahead. This is Cash Sports. Appreciate everybody. Everybody have a great afternoon. I will see y'all around those JBT streets.